Time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catalfamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we're talking teacher shortage. My guest in studio today is Yavapai County School Superintendent Tim Carter. Mr. Carter, thank you very much for coming on this morning.
Well, good morning. It's my pleasure to be here.
So a superintendent, I know I can tell you what a principal does. I can tell you what a teacher does. I have no idea what a superintendent does. Can you explain a little bit about your job?
Well, first of all, I think that people need to differentiate between what a district superintendent does and what a county or a state superintendent does. So we probably, to answer that question, have to look at the Arizona State Constitution. So in Article 11, it talks about education. And the Founding Fathers basically said there are going to be 4 levels of educational authority in Arizona. The top one is the State Board of Education. They're our policymakers. And many times the state legislature will create a law, and then the state board has to create policy around that law to actually implement it. Right below that is, oh, and by the way, the state board's appointed by the governor, confirmed by the Senate. So then the second level is the state superintendent of public instruction, which is an elected position. It's partisan, 4-year term. And that is the person who's in charge of the Arizona Department of Education. And they run all their programs. They're involved with school funding and all of those kind of things. They are the closest thing Arizona has to a regulatory agency. You then have the 15 county school superintendents. And we are also elected. It is also a partisan race and 4-year terms. County school superintendents have 973 powers and authority in Title 15.
Wow.
That sounds like a lot, and I'll come back to that here in a moment. And then, of course, the fourth, which is actually one of our very most important, are our local governing boards that are elected locally in nonpartisan races. And they have the authority over the school district itself and the implementation of those things. So when you look at the massive number of things that county superintendents have the authority over, you can really put those into a few categories. So we're the bank for the school districts. So we do all of the fiscal work on behalf of the school districts. We don't set their budgets. We don't tell them how they have to spend their money. We just kind of look over their shoulder and make sure they're doing it according to what the statute requires. We handle all their elections. And that is a fairly big part of what we do. We make appointments if there are vacancies in boards. And whether it's an election for governing board, a recall, an override, a bond, a consolidation, a unification, any of those things would come through our office. But probably the biggest area of our agency is the Education Service Agency. We provide direct services to schools, charters, and libraries. So whether that's nurses or psychologists, whether it's being their E-rate consultant, whether it's helping them with substitutes, certification issues, we provide services to them. We're not a regulatory agency, but we help them do what they think they need to do to be successful. So,
kind of like the parents of the school. You're just making sure that they're on the right track. If they need a little cash, you give them some money. If they need some help in other places, you're happy to help them out. Am I correct in that assumption a little bit?
Well, I think you're pretty close. In most governmental entities, either you're a service provider or you're a regulator. Right. And in Arizona, ADE is the regulator, and so we're the service provider. We're here to provide assistance to those entities any way we can.
AP released a story in mid-January that talked about a quarter of the teaching positions in the state are vacant. 1,846 vacancies in the 209 school districts that participated in the report. And again, this is from AP. Have you experienced any teacher shortages in your county?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Every county in Arizona has experienced it. The Southwest is having an issue. The West is having an issue. Nationally, it's an issue, but probably not as big an issue as it is in the West. We don't quite have the same kind of issue that some other rural counties have. But certainly we do have, right now, we have 28 openings. We're in January. We have 28 openings that were posted last summer that have still not been filled. So that's not quite a quarter at all, but it certainly is a significant number. Because we need to think about what happens if that position's not filled. Well, first of all, they can simply cancel those classes and take those students and put them in another class, which means that the teacher-pupil ratio dramatically goes up, and we know that's not good for teaching or learning. So that's one issue. The other thing, which many districts do, is they try to bring in a substitute teacher who is a certificated teacher, but they're not necessarily certificated in that subject. If I'm teaching physics, I better have a background in physics. And so that is a pretty significant issue. But we are just losing large numbers of teachers. And let's just look at first-year teachers. So if we have a cohort statewide of all of our first-year teachers, we lose 24% of those in the first year. Wow. That means they do not come back for year two. Well, that's a significant number, but that's then further complicated with the fact that that same cohort in year two loses another 20%. So in the first 2 years, we lose 44% of our new teachers. Now, if we can keep them to year three, they're probably going to be with us for their career. But we just lose a huge number of teachers in those first 2 years. Now, we know for a fact that finances is a big part of that. It's not the only factor, but it certainly is a big factor. And then that is compounded in areas like Yavapai County, where we can't find housing for them. They simply can't afford it. You know, you look at Sedona, you can look at Prescott as great examples. They've kind of priced themselves out of the kid market. I mean, how many young families with small children can afford to move to Prescott, Arizona, buy a house for $400,000? Well, that's not going to happen on the salaries we pay our teachers. So they either have to go to a surrounding area, or they simply say, we can't do this. We're going to have to either move someplace else where we make more money. And then that's another problem. Realize that Arizona has huge disparities. If you're a district that can pass an override, you can easily pay your teachers 10 to 15% more than the district right next door that can't pass an override. California pays a lot more than Arizona does. Nevada pays a lot more than Arizona does. Utah and Nevada, marginally so, but they still pay more than we do. And that's who we're competing with. So why would I teach in Black Canyon City or in Mayer when I can go 30 minutes south to Deer Valley and get a 17% raise? I mean, it's pretty logical when we think of it. So yeah, it's a problem. It's been a problem, and it continues. Teacher retention and recruitment is probably our biggest issue in Arizona right now.
I think we're going to get a little bit of that. We're going to take a break here, and I think we're going to get a little bit into how we can retain those teachers for that period there, because like you're saying, a lot of these younger teachers are here and then they're gone immediately, and that is, like you said, causing a significant problem because it's opening up more vacancies, and you're not filling those vacancies. It's almost like you're putting a bandage over a flood, and it's like the flood is coming, the Band-Aid's holding it, but the flood is going to continue to flow. So yeah, we still got a lot to talk about with Mr. Tim Carter, so when we come back, we'll talk more about the teacher shortage, how we can fix it, and also some financing things that are going on around the district and county. When we come back, right here on Countywide, don't go anywhere.
Regrow, repair, replace. Regenerative medicine is the process of creating living, functional tissues to repair or replace tissue or organ function lost due to age, disease, damage, or congenital defects. Dr. Forrest Lanchbury and the team at Sedona Regenerative Medicine specialize in finding relief for patients suffering from chronic pain. Contact Sedona Regenerative Medicine to learn about anti-aging medicines that will help your body heal itself. 928-282-2520 or SedonaRegen.com.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle. Get Gettles.
Reverse mortgages have undergone a great deal of changes since 2013. They're great loans, providing flexibility, access to tax-free cash, and low interest rates. Let me help you with your quality of life and peace of mind in your retirement years, no matter how long that is. For your in-home, no-obligation consultation, contact me, 928-225-7418. That's 928-225-7418, or go to jimhostler.com. That's jimhostler.com to schedule your appointment today.
Hi, this is Lori
and Melissa
from Sedona Soul Spaces. We are the premier source for all your interior design, decorating, and staging needs.
Every day people ask, why didn't I call you sooner?
Let us use our passion, creativity, and experience to make your life easier.
Don't make costly mistakes. Call us and we will help save you time and money.
We offer full-service interior design, custom furnishings,
complete home staging, turnkey vacation home packages.
Sedona Soul Spaces, creating extraordinary spaces that delight.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Philip Catalfamo. I want to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we're talking teacher shortage. My guest in studio is Yavapai County School Superintendent Tim Carter. Mr. Carter, we were talking about the teacher shortage and how we can solve that issue. A lot of teachers are not staying long enough, which is causing more problems. So we'll start with this. What do we do to keep our teachers in the classroom?
Well, great question, and unfortunately that's a very long answer because it's not just one answer. There are several things that we think we need to do. And I'm going to be talking now specifically to Yavapai County because we know these are issues that we have to deal with. The housing issue has to be addressed in some way. You have areas like Sedona where this issue is actually being magnified because of the issue with Airbnbs. So we have to find a way to find low-income housing for teachers. One of the ways we can do that is the statute allows the school district on district-owned property to put up housing. And we have several initiatives right now that are moving forward. We've got 3 districts, one of them the Verde Valley, that is very excited about being able to build homes. We have an agreement that we just put together with the Board of Supervisors yesterday. They approved it, where they are going to have 3 house designs that are already pre-approved. And if a school district would come in and say, we want that design, that will save them a considerable amount of money in having that plan reviewed because it's already been done. And instead of it being a 60 to 90 day window to have to wait for that review, it's already pre-approved. You can begin right away. So we are thinking that here within the next couple of months, probably by March or April, we're actually going to be breaking ground on some of these in probably 3 school districts as a pilot, 1 on this side of the mountain, 2 on the other side. And we think that that will certainly be a good start. Yavapai College has just approved a 3D printer design system where we can build houses much more efficiently, much quicker, and much more cost-effective. And so we're trying to partner with them, and they've been great to work with throughout this issue. We've got some neighboring counties, La Paz County, for example. There was a district over there that actually purchased a hotel that was kind of run down, and they came in and basically rebuilt it. And that is now teacher housing. It's an apartments for teachers. So, I mean, we're really trying to look outside the box as to how to deal with that. But teacher housing is certainly an issue. The second issue that is something that we're working on and it's been very effective is out-of-state teacher recruitment. We've had teams go to Illinois. We've had teams go to Michigan for the last several years. And this year, again, we'll send 8 people up to South Dakota. South Dakota is one of the few states that produces more teachers than they're able to use. And they have a rural lifestyle, we have a rural lifestyle, and actually there's a pretty good connection there. And over the last several years, we've been able to find several teachers out of South Dakota that have come down and are having success here. A third issue is a lot of teachers come out of college with a great deal of debt. So we have partnered with an organization called Fiducious, and it is a corporation that will help them basically go on the federal government website and find a loan forgiveness program. And there are 3 that we typically work with. And so a lot of our teachers are paying like $1,000 a month in paying back loans. We can typically get that reduced to under $300 a month. And once they've paid that for 10 years under federal law, the rest of that loan can be forgiven. So it's called a loan forgiveness program. A lot of our young teachers don't even realize it exists, and so we're helping facilitate those conversations. I mean, there's 3 examples, but there are a lot of other things out there that are happening as well. But the teacher housing issue is simply a critical factor, and we have to get in front of it.
You know, I know when I was coming here in August, I was, I'm obviously not a teacher, but I was also having some trouble finding a place, and it was almost like I was going to have to delay it a little bit longer because I was not able to lock down a place. Thankfully, I was able to. So I can, from experience, speak to that of going into an area and being like, okay, I got to start in September, and I got to find a house now, and nothing is on the market, and you're just, okay, well, we're going to wait another week, and oh, there's still nothing. So I love the teaching housing idea. I think that's fantastic, and I'm familiar with the 3D construction program that Yavapai College is putting together, and we're trying to get them on the show, and we'd love to talk about that, and I'll have to bring that up as well. Kind of shifting away a little bit from the teacher shortage, voters may decide between 2 tax measures to benefit schools. Boost a dedicated sales tax from 0.6% to a full penny, and the other is a voter initiative backed by education advocates. Can you speak about that a little bit?
I can. It's nice to see that there are 2 different proposals. They are quite different. They both effectively do the same thing from the standpoint of they create a sustainable funding structure, and that's what we need. We need something, to be quite honest, that is not at the whim of the legislature, where when we're having difficult budget issues, they can say, we're going to reduce everybody's budget by this amount. I mean, we understand that education is a big part of the state budget. We understand that the state legislature has an obligation to run a balanced budget, but so do our school districts, and so do our charter schools. So the reality here is what we really need to do is to try to find consensus around one or a combination of those 2, because right now it does not appear that either of those has a significant amount of support. There's support for both of them because they do different things in different ways. I think where we need to focus our attention is on a sustainable system that a majority of voters in Arizona can support and stay with over time. The differences are in the percentages, as you mentioned, over the length of term. Is it going to be a 10-year term? Is it going to be an indefinite term? Are there any kind of cost of living adjustments with it or not, depending on those 2 plans? So even though they sound similar, when you really start looking at the details, they're quite different. And there are several people supporting this, and there are several people and entities supporting this. We need to get those groups together and find something that they can all kind of agree to. And right now, I don't think we're there.
Well, hopefully we will get there. So we got just a little under 30 seconds here before we head into our next break, and so I'll save this point for after we come back. Sure. So people are, gonna, like you said, you're going to be able to vote on this measure very, very soon, I assume.
Well, I don't think we even know that yet. It is working its way through the legislature, and I anticipate that one or both or a third will be before the voters. I think it's critical that we find that sustainable funding source.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to keep talking to Mr. Carter, School Superintendent of Yavapai County. Don't go anywhere, Countywide. We'll be right back.
Northern Arizona Thermal Imaging uses a state-of-the-art medical digital camera to take a picture and create a map of the body's infrared patterns, later interpreted by an MD specially trained in reading thermography. Northern Arizona Thermal Imaging is the leading medical imaging and proactive healthcare, detecting early danger signs years before other tools, finding early breast disease up to 8 years before mammography may detect it. Schedule a scan with Carol today. Northern Arizona Thermal Imaging. Say yes to thermography.
From inspiration to installation.
If you need help with your decorating plan, call the pros at the Picture Window. We are your #1 source for top quality blinds, shades, shutters, and flooring. We've been in business here for 41 years, and our delightful sales staff has decades of experience. We're the locally awarded Best of the Best in both Sedona and the Verde Valley.
Don't pass up a free estimate on your project. Call the Picture Window now.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm Philip Catafamo. On today's show, we're talking teacher shortage. My guest in studio is Yavapai County Superintendent of Schools, Tim Carter. We were talking about teacher shortage. We were talking about this tax measure that is going to be voted on at some point. You guys are still deciding. But now let's shift over to where are we with the proposed consolidation between Oak Creek School District and Mingus High School?
Well, the committee that is supporting the consolidation has come into our office, and they have pulled a serial number. And so they have a petition that they're going to use. From my understanding, it follows Judge Mackey's order from the lawsuit last year. And so I would anticipate that if those aren't already being circulated, they will be circulated very quickly. Once those come back in, then we'll obviously review them. And assuming they have the appropriate number of signatures and assuming that there's not another lawsuit to block this in some way, their plan would be to have this on the November ballot, and then the voters can vote it up or vote it down.
I know there are a couple of vacancies on the school boards in the county. Have you been receiving the applications? I know there's a Mingus School Board and the Mountain Institute Career and Technology Education District. They're looking for somebody. Have you guys received applications? Are those positions still open?
They are both still open. The Mingus position, we have 2 candidates. For the Seligman seat on Mountain Institute, we don't have any candidates yet.
Okay.
But there's a couple of weeks here or so to file those, and then we go through the process of doing interviews and then chatting individually with the board members to see what their preferences are and with the community, and we'll make those appointments.
And if anybody is interested, where do they go for that?
Well, they can simply call me. My cell number is 928-925-6560. They can go to our website, ycesa.com. ycesa.com, or they can simply call the Yavapai County School Superintendent's office and we'll direct them. But there is a press release out. It is on our website, and we think all the details are on that document.
So once again, that website is www.ycesa.com. If you feel like you can fill those positions, contact Mr. Carter, send a letter of interest or a resume to his office, and maybe you'll be the next Mingus School, be the next person on the Mingus School Board or on the Mountain Institute Career and Technology Education District. So Mingus is due by February 21st, and the MICTED is due by February 13th. Very close. That's next week.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, you got to get those applications in again, www.ycesa.com. I think we've covered everything. Well, I guess not everything. We could have another 3 hours of the show and, like you said, still not cover much. But is there anything else you want to go over? Anything else you want to say?
Well, I just appreciate the fact that KVRD does such a good job of communicating public issues to the public, and there aren't a lot of sources that do what you do, and we greatly appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Mr. Carter. I really appreciate it.
Always my pleasure.
I've learned a lot. I'm new to the area, and this is a lot of stuff that I haven't necessarily had my hands all over before, so I'm happy to get a little insight from an expert, and hopefully we can start to nail down this teacher shortage. We've got to get some good teachers out there, and we'll get some more information about this 6/10 to a full penny these two tax measures. Everything else will sort itself out, but this is the man to talk to if you want to talk to him about anything. I want to thank you for watching, listening, and we will talk to you again next time.